Hey there, and welcome to a deep dive. You guys into, it's a subject that's pretty much like literally at the heart of life itself, cell division.
Hmm.
You've sent over a chapter absolutely packed with info.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're really aiming for like a solid grasp of the whole theories, concepts, all the good stuff.
Definitely.
So get ready, because we're about to unpack how those teeny tiny cells manage to make more of themselves, from the elegant dance of chromosomes
Right.
to the implications for things like cancer
Hmm.
and some like really cutting edge treatments.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's easy to overlook the fact that trillions of cells are dividing in your body, like right now.
Yeah.
Enabling growth, repair, and even like your very existence from just a single fertilized egg.
It's mind-blowing.
Right, is.
It makes you realize just how dynamic and orchestrated our bodies are at the microscopic level.
Totally.
So let's dive in. What's the first big idea we need to tackle?
Well, I think we should start by understanding the fundamental importance of cell division. It's really the cornerstone of life itself.
Wow.
It fuels growth, development, repair, and even reproduction in single-celled organisms.
So every scrape, every growing bone, every new skin cell, it's all thanks to cell division working tirelessly behind the scenes.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And this very intricate process is all thanks to the remarkable organization of a cell's genetic material.
Okay.
Its DNA.
Okay, so let's talk about DNA. We know human cells contain a massive amount of it, 2 meters worth.
Yeah.
How does a cell manage to wrangle all that genetic material, especially when it's time to divide?
It's like packing a suitcase for a long trip.
Wow.
You need to organize everything efficiently.
Right.
And that's where chromosomes come in. They're like neatly packed bundles of DNA,
Okay.
making it manageable for replication and distribution during cell division.
So chromosomes are the key players in this cellular dance.
For sure.
But there must be a specific choreography, right? Cells don't just divide haphazardly.
You're exactly right. There's a very precise sequence of events called the cell cycle. It ensures that every step happens in the right order and at the right time.
The cell cycle, it sounds almost musical.
Kind of.
Can you walk us through the key phases of this cellular performance?
Absolutely. The cell cycle is like a play in 2 acts.
Okay.
Interphase and mitosis.
Oh.
Interphase is the preparation stage,
Okay.
where the cell grows, duplicates its chromosomes, and gets ready for the main event.
Okay.
Then comes mitosis, the grand finale, where the duplicated chromosomes are carefully separated and distributed to 2 new daughter cells.
Okay, so interphase is like backstage prep and mitosis is the showstopper.
You got it.
Let's delve deeper into interphase first.
Okay.
What are the key steps happening behind the curtain?
So interphase itself has 3 distinct phases, G1S and G2.
Okay.
During G1, the cell is metabolically active, growing and synthesizing proteins. It's basically getting bigger and stronger.
So it's bulking up for the big performance.
Exactly.
What happens next?
Next comes the S phase, where the S stands for synthesis.
Okay.
This is where DNA replication takes center stage.
Okay.
The cell meticulously copies its entire DNA molecule, ensuring that each daughter cell will receive a complete set of genetic instructions.
It's like making a perfect copy of a blueprint
Yes.
before starting construction on 2 new houses.
Exactly.
And what about G2, the final phase of interphase?
During G2, the cell continues to grow, synthesize proteins, and prepare for mitosis.
Okay.
It's the final dress rehearsal before the curtain rises.
So much happens before the actual division.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the main attraction, mitosis.
Okay.
How does a cell accurately divide those duplicated chromosomes?
Mitosis is a dynamic process with 5 distinct stages: prophase, prometaphase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase.
Whoa.
Each stage has a crucial role in ensuring the precise separation and distribution of chromosomes.
Okay, let's break down those stages, starting with prophase. What are the highlights?
During prophase, the replicated chromosomes condense and become visible under a microscope.
Okay.
Imagine a long, thin thread being wound into a tight coil.
Okay.
The nuclear envelope, which normally encloses the DNA, begins to break down. Meanwhile, the mitotic spindle, a structure made of microtubules, starts to form.
And what's the role of this mitotic spindle?
Think of the spindle as a set of tiny ropes that will eventually pull the chromosomes apart.
Okay.
In prometaphase, the nuclear envelope fragments completely, and those spindle microtubules reach out and attach to the chromosomes at their centromeres.
So each chromosome has a handle, and the spindle fibers grab onto those handles.
That's a great analogy.
I like that.
Then during metaphase, the chromosomes line up at the center of the cell, the metaphase plate. It's a stunningly choreographed moment, like dancers in a perfectly straight line, all ready for the big move.
I can picture it, a perfectly aligned row of chromosomes.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Next comes anaphase, the most dramatic stage of mitosis.
Ooh.
The sister chromatids, those identical copies of each chromosome, suddenly separate and are pulled apart by the spindle fibers. Okay.
It's like a perfectly synchronized dance move with each chromatid gliding toward opposite poles of the cell.
It sounds like a cellular tug of war, but
Yeah.
with incredibly high stakes.
Exactly. And finally, we have telophase, the curtain call of mitosis.
Okay.
The separated chromosomes arrive at opposite poles of the cell. The spindle fibers disappear and new nuclear envelopes form around each set of chromosomes,
Okay.
creating two new nuclei.
So at the end of telophase, we essentially have two new nuclei,
Yes.
each containing a complete set of chromosomes.
Right.
But what about the rest of the cell?
That's where cytokinesis comes in, the final act of cell division.
Cytokinesis, the grand finale. Tell me more.
During cytokinesis, the cytoplasm divides, creating two distinct daughter cells.
Okay.
In animal cells, it's like someone is pinching the cell in two. A contractile ring made of actin filaments constricts around the middle of the cell, gradually deepening the cleavage furrow until the cell is pinched into two daughter cells. And what about plant cells? They have those rigid cell walls. They can't just pinch themselves in half, can they?
You're right. Plant cells take a different approach.
Okay.
Instead of pinching, they build a new wall down the middle.
Oh.
During telophase, vesicles carrying cell wall material gather at the center of the cell,
Okay.
forming a cell plate.
Mm-hmm.
This plate expands until it merges with the existing cell walls, creating two separate daughter cells, each enclosed in its own cell wall.
Fascinating. So whether it's pinching or building a wall,
Right.
cytokinesis marks the end of cell division,
Yep.
resulting in two daughter cells, each genetically identical to the original parent cell.
Exactly.
But, we've been focusing on plant and animal cells. What about those single-cell wonders bacteria?
Right.
How do they manage cell division?
Bacteria employ a simpler yet equally effective process called binary fission.
Okay.
It's essentially a copy and separate strategy.
Okay, so no elaborate mitosis routine for bacteria.
Not quite. They replicate their single circular chromosome and then divide the cell in two, with each daughter cell inheriting a copy of the chromosome.
Okay.
It's a streamlined process that allows bacteria to reproduce quickly and efficiently.
That makes sense given how rapidly bacteria can multiply. So, given that bacteria have been around for billions of years, do scientists think that mitosis might have evolved from binary fission?
It's a very compelling hypothesis. There are striking similarities in the basic mechanisms of DNA replication and segregation between the two processes, suggesting a possible evolutionary link.
It's amazing to think that the complex dance of mitosis might have its roots in the simpler process of binary fission.
Yeah.
It's like looking back in time to understand the origins of this fundamental process that makes life possible. But so far, we've focused on the how of cell division.
Right.
What about the when and the why cells don't just divide randomly? There must be some kind of control system, right?
You're absolutely right. There's a sophisticated control system often referred to as the cell cycle control system, which acts like the conductor of an orchestra, ensuring that everything happens in the right order and at the right time.
So it's like a cellular timekeeper making sure the cell doesn't skip any steps or go out of sync. Can you tell me more about how it works?
Certainly, the cell cycle control system operates through a series of checkpoints, which are like quality control stations along the cell cycle.
Quality control. I like that analogy. What are these checkpoints checking for?
They're monitoring critical aspects of the cell cycle, like DNA integrity, chromosome duplication, and proper spindle attachment. If any problems are detected, the cell cycle can be paused or even halted
Oh, wow.
to allow for repairs or to prevent errors from being passed on to the daughter cells.
So it's like a built-in safety mechanism to prevent cellular chaos.
Exactly. These checkpoints are essential for maintaining the integrity of the cell's genetic material and ensuring that cell division proceeds accurately.
This control system sounds incredibly intricate. What kind of signals does it respond to?
The cell cycle control system responds to a variety of signals, both internal and external. Internal signals include things like DNA damage, incomplete replication, or improper spindle attachment.
Okay.
These signals trigger checkpoints to pause the cell cycle until the issue is resolved.
So it's like the cell is constantly monitoring itself, making sure everything is in order. What about external signals?
External signals include things like growth factors, which are like green lights that stimulate cell division. They're often released by other cells to signal the need for tissue growth or repair.
So cells can communicate with each other and coordinate their division activities. That makes sense. But what happens when the control system goes awry? I imagine that could lead to some serious problems.
You're right. A malfunctioning cell cycle control system is at the heart of many diseases.
Oh, no.
Including cancer.
Cancer, that's a heavy topic. Can you explain how a faulty control system contributes to cancer development?
In essence, cancer arises when cells lose control of their division cycle.
Oh.
They ignore the stop signals at the checkpoints and keep dividing even when they shouldn't, leading to uncontrolled growth and the formation of tumors.
So it's like a runaway train ignoring all the red lights and signals.
That's a great analogy.
Oh, scary.
And this uncontrolled growth can be devastating, as the rapidly dividing cancer cells can invade surrounding tissues and spread throughout the body.
This is where it gets really scary. So how do cancer cells manage to bypass those crucial checkpoints? It seems like they've found a way to hack the system.
The key lies in mutations, which are changes in the DNA sequence that can alter the function of genes. These mutations can disrupt the delicate balance of the cell cycle control system, essentially giving cancer cells a free pass to divide unchecked.
So mutations are like glitches in the cellular software that can throw the whole system off balance.
That's a great way to put it. And these mutations can arise from a variety of factors, including exposure to carcinogens errors during DNA replication and even inherited genetic predispositions.
Wow. So cancer is really a complex interplay of genetic and environmental factors that can disrupt the normal harmony of cell division.
Exactly. And that's why understanding the cell cycle control system is so crucial for understanding cancer and developing effective treatments.
This is all incredibly insightful. So before we move on, can we recap the key takeaways about the cell cycle control system? It's a lot to process.
Of course, first, the cell cycle control system is essential for regulating the timing and accuracy of cell division.
Okay.
Second, it operates through a series of checkpoints that monitor critical aspects of the cell cycle, like DNA integrity and chromosome duplication. Third, it responds to both internal and external signals, ensuring that cell division is coordinated with the needs of the organism.
Okay.
And finally, disruptions in the cell cycle control system can lead to uncontrolled cell growth and diseases like cancer.
That's a great summary. Now, we've talked a lot about mitosis, which is how most of our cells divide. But you mentioned earlier that some single-celled eukaryotes have some unusual ways of dividing their nuclei. Can you tell us more about those?
Certainly, some single-celled eukaryotes like dinoflagellates and diatoms have unique ways of dividing their nuclei that differ from the typical process of mitosis. What's interesting is that in these organisms, the nuclear envelope remains intact throughout the process, whereas in most eukaryotic cells, the nuclear envelope breaks down during mitosis.
So it's like they've found a way to divide their DNA without dismantling the nuclear envelope. It's fascinating. How do they manage to do that?
Well, in dinoflagellates, for example, the chromosomes attach to the nuclear envelope, and microtubules pass through the nucleus inside cytoplasmic tunnels. This helps maintain the spatial orientation of the nucleus while the chromosomes are being separated. In diatoms and some yeasts, the microtubules form a spindle within the nucleus, separating the chromosomes without the need for the nuclear envelope to break down.
So they've come up with some pretty creative ways to get the job done. And do scientists think these unusual mechanisms might represent intermediate stages in the evolution of mitosis?
It's certainly a possibility these mechanisms might provide a glimpse into how the more complex process of mitosis evolved from simpler ancestral processes. They might represent missing links in the evolutionary history of cell division, showing how the process could have transitioned from a bacteria-like binary fission to the more elaborate mitosis we see in most eukaryotic cells today.
It's like piecing together the evolutionary puzzle of cell division. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the significance of cell division in a broader context. Why is it so essential for life as we know it?
Cell division is the fundamental process that drives growth, development, and reproduction in all living organisms. Without it, life as we know it simply wouldn't exist, from the single-celled zygote that divides and differentiates to form a complex multicellular organism to the constant renewal and repair of tissues throughout our lives. Cell division is the driving force behind it all.
It's the heartbeat of life, constantly pulsating, creating, and renewing. But hold on a second. You're telling me that all our cells are constantly dividing. What about our brain cells? Don't they stop dividing at some point?
That's a great question. While cell division is essential for life, it's true that not all cells in our bodies divide continuously. Some cells, like nerve cells and muscle cells, typically stop dividing once they reach maturity.
So they've reached their final destination in the cellular journey and are now focused on fulfilling their specific purpose in the body. What happens to these cells if they get damaged or wear out?
Yeah, so these cells have typically reached a highly specialized state
Okay.
where their role is to perform specific functions rather than to divide and replicate.
Okay.
They've essentially exited the cell cycle and entered a non-dividing state called G0.
G0.
In this state, they can still carry out their specialized functions, but they no longer have the capacity to divide. They rely on other cellular processes to maintain their function and integrity, and if they become too damaged, they may undergo programmed cell death, a process called apoptosis.
So it's a reminder that even though cell division is essential for life,
Yeah.
it's not the only process that keeps cells and organisms going. It's part of a complex interplay of cellular activities that orchestrate the symphony of life. Now, let's talk about some of the practical implications of understanding cell division. How does this knowledge translate into real-world applications?
Understanding cell division has profound implications for many fields, including medicine, agriculture, and biotechnology.
Wow.
For instance, in medicine, cell division is at the forefront of research for diseases like cancer and even regenerative medicine.
I could see how understanding the ins and outs of cell division would be crucial for tackling diseases like cancer. But what about regenerative medicine? How does it fit in?
Regenerative medicine aims to repair or replace damaged tissues and organs, and that often involves stimulating the growth of new cells. So understanding how to control and manipulate cell division is essential for this field.
So it's like harnessing the power of cell division to rebuild and rejuvenate the body. It's pretty amazing stuff. But what about applications beyond medicine?
Cell division plays a vital role in agriculture and biotechnology as well.
Oh.
For instance, in agriculture, scientists can manipulate cell division to develop new plant varieties with desirable traits, such as increased yield disease resistance
Okay.
or tolerance to harsh environmental conditions.
So it's like using the knowledge of cell division to create supercrops that can feed a growing population and withstand climate change.
Exactly. And in biotechnology, understanding cell division is crucial for a wide range of applications,
Yeah.
from producing pharmaceuticals and vaccines to developing biofuels and even creating artificial tissues.
Wow, it really highlights how understanding a fundamental biological process like cell division can unlock a world of possibilities. It's inspiring to see how scientific knowledge can be translated into real-world applications that can benefit society in countless ways now. Before we move on to some specific examples and delve deeper into the complexities of cell division, let's take a quick break.
Sounds good. It's incredible how something so microscopic can have such far-reaching implications, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, so we've laid a solid foundation now. Let's get specific. Can you share some real-world examples of how scientists are manipulating cell division in medicine?
One area where this knowledge is making a huge impact is in cancer treatment.
Okay.
We're seeing incredible progress in developing targeted therapies that specifically attack cancer cells while sparing healthy cells.
So instead of using a sledgehammer approach like traditional chemotherapy,
Right.
these targeted therapies are more like surgical strikes against the cancer cells.
Exactly. For instance, some targeted therapies block the signals that tell cancer cells to divide. Imagine cutting the communication lines that are fueling the uncontrolled growth.
That's a powerful image. So it's like disrupting the cancer cell's command center, preventing it from sending out those divide orders.
Precisely. Other targeted therapies work by inhibiting the enzymes that are necessary for DNA replication in cancer cells.
So it's like sabotaging the machinery that's responsible for copying the cancer cell's blueprint.
Exactly. Without the ability to replicate their DNA, cancer cells can't divide and spread. And these targeted therapies often have fewer side effects than traditional chemotherapy because they're more selective in their action.
That's fantastic news. It's like finally having the tools to fight cancer with greater precision and less collateral damage. What other exciting advancements are happening in medicine thanks to our understanding of cell division?
Regenerative medicine is another field that's making huge strides.
Big time.
Scientists are exploring ways to use stem cells, which have the ability to divide and differentiate into various cell types, to repair or replace damaged tissues and organs.
So it's like harnessing the body's own regenerative power to heal itself.
Precisely, imagine being able to grow new heart tissue for someone who's had a heart attack,
Wow.
or replacing damaged cartilage in a knee joint.
Wow, it sounds like science fiction. But it's becoming a reality thanks to our growing understanding of cell division. Now, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the evolutionary implications earlier. You mentioned that binary fission in bacteria might be the ancestor of mitosis in eukaryotic cells. What evidence supports this idea?
One of the most compelling pieces of evidence is the fact that some of the proteins involved in binary fission have structural and functional similarities to proteins involved in mitosis.
So it's like finding common architectural elements in ancient and modern buildings,
Yeah.
suggesting a shared lineage.
That's a great analogy. It suggests that the basic machinery for DNA replication and segregation was already present in early life forms and has been modified and elaborated upon over millions of years of evolution.
It's like nature has been tinkering with the same basic blueprint for billions of years, refining and adapting it to create the diversity of life we see today.
Exactly, and by studying those variations in cell division across different organisms, we can gain a deeper understanding of how this fundamental process has evolved and shaped the tree of life.
It's like piecing together the history of life one cell division at a time. But, we've talked a lot about the complexities of cell division, but it's easy to forget that this process is happening constantly within our own bodies, keeping us alive and functioning. It's quite humbling, isn't it?
It really is. Trillions of cells are dividing in your body right now, enabling growth, repair, and renewal. It's a microscopic symphony of life that we often take for granted.
It's a powerful reminder that even though we're complex beings, we're ultimately made up of these tiny building blocks that follow a remarkably elegant and orchestrated set of rules. Speaking of rules, we discussed how disruptions in the cell cycle control system can lead to cancer. But are there other ways that cell division can go wrong?
Certainly, errors during cell division can lead to a variety of other problems. For instance, if chromosomes don't separate properly during mitosis. It can lead to an uneven distribution of chromosomes in the daughter cells, a condition called aneuploidy.
Aneuploidy, that sounds like a mouthful. What are the consequences of having too many or too few chromosomes?
Aneuploidy can have a range of effects depending on which chromosomes are affected and how many extra or missing copies there are. In some cases, it can be fatal, while in other cases, it can lead to developmental abnormalities or an increased risk of certain diseases.
So it's like a delicate balancing act, and even small errors in chromosome distribution can have significant consequences.
Exactly. And that highlights the remarkable precision and fidelity of the cell division process, which usually manages to copy and distribute vast amounts of genetic information with incredible accuracy.
It's truly a marvel of nature. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into cell division, I want to circle back to the practical implications you mentioned, that understanding cell division has applications in agriculture. Can you give us some specific examples of how this knowledge is being used to benefit food production?
Absolutely. One example is the development of crops that are resistant to herbicides. By manipulating the genes involved in cell division, scientists can create crops that can withstand the application of herbicides, making it easier to control weeds without harming the crops themselves.
So it's like giving crops a superpower that allows them to survive the weed killer while the weeds are eliminated.
Yeah.
That's pretty ingenious. What other agricultural advancements are linked to cell division research?
Another example is the development of crops with increased yield by manipulating the genes that control cell division, and growth scientists can create crops that produce more fruits, grains, or vegetables, which is crucial for feeding a growing population.
It's like boosting the crop's productivity, making them more efficient food producers.
Yeah.
What other applications of cell division research are there in agriculture?
Scientists are also using their knowledge of cell division to develop crops that are more resistant to diseases and pests. By manipulating the genes involved in plant immunity and defense mechanisms, they can create crops that are better equipped to fight off infections and infestations, leading to healthier and more abundant harvests.
So it's like giving crops their own internal bodyguards to protect them from invaders.
That's a great analogy, and these are just a few examples of how understanding cell division is revolutionizing agriculture.
It's incredibly exciting to see how scientific knowledge can be applied to address real-world challenges, like ensuring food security for a growing population. Now, you mentioned that cell division also plays a crucial role in biotechnology. Can you give us some insights into how it's being utilized in this field?
Certainly one of the most exciting areas of biotechnology is the use of cell division to produce valuable proteins, such as insulin for treating diabetes or antibodies for fighting infections.
Okay.
Scientists can insert the gene for the desired protein into cells and then allow those cells to divide and multiply in bioreactors, essentially turning them into miniature factories that churn out the protein of interest.
It's like hijacking the cell's manufacturing capabilities to produce something beneficial that's incredible.
It really is a powerful tool, and the applications go beyond just producing proteins. Cell division is also being used to develop new vaccines, biofuels, and even artificial tissues and organs for transplantation.
Wow, the possibilities seem endless. It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what we can achieve by harnessing the power of cell division. Okay, before we move on, let's recap the key applications of cell division in agriculture and biotechnology.
Of course, in agriculture, we're using this knowledge to develop crops that are more resistant to herbicides, diseases, pests, and have increased yield. And in biotechnology, we're using cell division to produce valuable proteins, vaccines, biofuels, and even artificial tissues and organs.
That's a great summary. Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground, but there's one more area I want to touch upon before we wrap up, the ethical implications of cell division research, especially in the realm of biotechnology.
That's an important point. As with any powerful technology, it's crucial to consider the ethical implications of our ability to manipulate cell division. There are concerns about the potential for unintended consequences, the risks of genetic engineering, and the need for responsible oversight and regulation.
So it's not just about what we can do, but also about what we should do.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We need to have open and honest discussions about the potential benefits and risks of this technology, and we need to establish clear ethical guidelines and regulations to ensure that it's used responsibly and for the benefit of humanity.
It's a powerful reminder that scientific advancements should always be accompanied by thoughtful, ethical considerations, and I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
We've explored the intricate world of cell division, from the molecular mechanisms to the evolutionary implications and the real-world applications. It's been an incredible journey of discovery now. Before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or insights you'd like to share with our listeners?
I think the most important takeaway is that cell division is a fundamental process that underlies all life as we know it. It's a beautiful and intricate dance that's constantly happening within our own bodies and all around us. And by understanding this process, we can unlock incredible possibilities for improving human health, feeding a growing population, and even shaping the future of life on Earth.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of cell division, from the intricate dance of chromosomes to the far-reaching implications for medicine, agriculture, and biotechnology.
Yeah.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface, but it's given us a glimpse into the profound beauty and complexity of life at the cellular level. Thank you for guiding us through this fascinating deep dive.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, every time you look at a plant growing, a wound healing, or even just yourself in the mirror, you're witnessing the remarkable power of cell division in action.
That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep marveling at the wonders of the microscopic world that makes life possible. Until next time, happy diving.
Yeah.
It really is awe-inspiring to think about like the power and elegance of this microscopic process that's happening all around us all the time.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what breakthroughs and innovations lie ahead. I feel like we've only just begun to explore like the vast potential of cell division research.
Absolutely. The future of cell division research is incredibly exciting. Imagine a world where we can regenerate damaged tissues at will, engineer crops that can thrive in even the harshest conditions, or even develop personalized therapies that target cancer cells with pinpoint accuracy.
It's a future like brimming with possibilities.
Yeah.
I'm particularly fascinated by like the potential of regenerative medicine. Can you like paint a picture of what that might look like in say 50 years?
In 50 years, I envision a world where we can readily grow new organs in the lab using a patient's own cells to create perfectly matched transplants.
Wow.
Eliminating the need for organ donors and the risk of rejection. We might even be able to repair damaged spinal cords or reverse the effects of neurodegenerative diseases by stimulating the growth of new neurons.
It's mind-blowing to think that such medical miracles might be within our reach.
Yeah.
What about agriculture? How do you see cell division research shaping the future of food production?
I think we'll see a revolution in agriculture with crops that are engineered to be more resilient, productive, and nutritious.
Wow.
Imagine crops that can withstand drought, resist pests and diseases, and require minimal fertilizers or pesticides. We could even engineer crops to produce higher levels of essential vitamins and minerals, addressing malnutrition and improving global health.
It's a vision of a future where science and nature work together to create a more sustainable and abundant food supply. And what about biotechnology? What are some of the most exciting frontiers in that field?
In biotechnology, we're likely to see a surge in personalized medicine with therapies tailored to an individual's unique genetic makeup. Imagine using gene editing techniques to correct genetic defects or engineer immune cells to attack cancer cells with pinpoint precision. We might even be able to slow down the aging process by manipulating the genes that control cell division and longevity.
Wow, possibilities seem limitless. It sounds like we're on the cusp of a new era in biotechnology where we can harness the power of cell division to create a healthier, more sustainable, and even more awe-inspiring world.
I couldn't agree more. It's a testament to the incredible power of scientific inquiry and our insatiable curiosity to understand the fundamental processes that drive life itself. And as we delve deeper into the mysteries of cell division, I have no doubt that we'll continue to uncover even more astonishing discoveries and applications that will shape the future of humanity and our planet.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of cell division, from the intricate dance of chromosomes to the far-reaching implications for medicine, agriculture, and biotechnology. I feel like we've only scratched the surface, but it's given us a glimpse into the profound beauty and complexity of life at the cellular level. Thank you for guiding us through this fascinating deep dive.
It's been my pleasure, and remember, every time you look at a plant growing, a wound healing, or even just yourself in the mirror, you're witnessing the remarkable power of cell division in action.
That's a beautiful thought. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep marveling at the wonders of the microscopic world that makes life possible. Until next time, happy diving.